Are calories all that matters when it comes to losing weight? This is a question, as a nutritionist, as a personal trainer, I hear all the time and still gets debated pretty heavily. So here's the real answer. Calories don't tell you the whole story. They never will. If anyone says that they do, they're either inexperienced or they're trying to sell you something. You can eat a shit ton of calories from shit food and not put on any muscle. You can lose weight by eating a bunch of shit food and be in a calorie deficit, but you will lose a lot of muscle. So if we're only talking about weight, then yes, calories matter. However, it's gonna be a short-term weight loss because you are gonna feel like absolute dog shit eating a bunch of McDonald's, fast food, and processed food, as opposed to if you were to do the same thing, eating mostly whole natural food, you actually might build muscle, depending on who you are, and or at least retain the muscle you have on your frame. So calories don't tell you the whole story. So what is it that really matters? Let's talk about it. So if calories aren't the whole story, what is it that actually matters? Well, of course it matters what's actually in those calories. You see, if you're eating a ton of carbohydrates, little protein, little fat, very little vitamins and minerals, and very little electrolytes, best of luck successfully building muscle, losing actual body fat, or seeing any long-term results. Can you lose a little bit of weight? Absolutely. You probably can lose a shit ton, but you're gonna lose a shit ton of muscle, and you're actually probably going to be a more unhealthy person. So if that's what you want, go ahead and do so. If not, you need to focus on that. You need to focus on the actual nutrition in the food. The proteins, fats, and carbs, everybody knows that. Those are the macronutrients. But the micronutrients also play a massive role. Yet people don't really talk about them. They only talk about maybe macro counting or hitting your calories. Once again, not the entire story. I've had numerous clients come to me with seemingly perfect macros, yet making no results. Once we optimize their training, still don't see many results. Now why? Likely because there's a deficiency somewhere. Because in their head, they may believe something like cholesterol, or they might be anti-dairy. So they might be low in cholesterol, or they might be low in folate, or they might be low in magnesium, which you wouldn't think affects muscle gain or weight loss, but it really, really does. That is the nutrition in the food. So what should you do? As always, you need to be focusing on eating mostly whole foods. You need to get rid of the idea that it's bad to eat certain things like red meat or eggs or dairy. Unless you can't digest the food, it's not gonna kill you. We also need to get the idea that eating a shit ton of grains and vegetables is the best way to lose weight and or maximize your nutrients. I'm not saying they're bad for you. By any means, they're not. But if your diet is comprised of mostly whole grains and or vegetables, you're gonna have a really hard time absorbing those nutrients, and depending on who I'm talking to, you might actually run into GI or digestive system issues because of the amount of fiber you're actually consuming. As humans, we are designed to eat meat. We are designed to eat animal products. They are the most bioavailable nutrients you can find anywhere. So if you comprise your diet mostly of those red meats, those eggs, those dairy products, you sprinkle in some fruit for some vitamin C, some fish, of course some vegetables if you enjoy them. That is the optimal diet for most people. No diet ever works perfectly for everyone, and they never will. Also, to finish up, we never even really touched upon the fact that eating a bunch of pro-inflammatory foods, when you're in a calorie deficit, they're not nearly as bad because you're burning them off before your body can even store them. Still, it's not a great thing to do. You probably run into GI issues, but messing up the gut bacteria is more crucial than people give it credit for. Your hormones and run through your gut. So if you are going ahead eating a bunch of shit food, fucking up your gut bacteria, you may run into some hormonal issues. You might be seeing things like a cortisol imbalance or low testosterone, which I see all the time in most male clients. You might be running into high estrogen. Even as a female, you're likely to run into these imbalances. Usually, this stems from the gut. Not taking care of the gut, eating and just focusing on calories and macros instead of focusing on the nutritious, the entire encapsulation of that food. This is why it's good to include a little bit of everything. You don't need to be a full carnivore, even though it's popular to be. You don't need to be a full vegan, even though it's somehow popular to be. We're designed to eat a very, very diverse diet, mostly coming from animal products, sprinkling in some fruit, having vegetables sparingly and grains, and realizing that you are a unique person and somebody else might be able to eat gluten all the fucking time with no issues, but you cannot because it gives you an upset tummy, and that is no good for anyone. This is why, and this is a great long explanation as to why, yes, calories in versus calorie out is what it comes down to at the end of the day for weight loss. But just because you're losing weight doesn't mean you're actually getting the results you want to. You need to be focusing on losing fat, because I could make you lose 20 pounds. If you look in the mirror and you look exactly the same, or you look more flabby because you lost a bunch of muscle, you're gonna be mad at me. So pay attention to calories, but focus more on your nutrition. If you focus more on eating the most nutritious foods, the calories make their way and find themselves naturally. See it time and time again. Make sure you're hitting your protein goal, which should be around 1 gram of protein per pound of your body weight. Make sure you're eating plenty of healthy fats from eggs, from meat products. It's not gonna cause cancer or kill you. Make sure you're eating your cholesterol from those eggs, and make sure you're eating all those diverse foods that I mentioned before if you want to optimize the ability to lose fat and build muscle and possibly do it at the same time. So, yes, calories matter, but no, all calories are not equal. Debate me if you want. If you have any comments, questions, or requests, drop them in the comments below. As always, hope these help.